How would you like to know exactly what to say when you're in a sales situation that really counts, or you're in a discussion with someone? You need to know exactly what you need to say to get the actions that you need. Well, there's a book out called Exactly What to Say. It's written by Phil M. Jones. He is a man that knows what he's talking about. Over 1 million copies of this book have been sold. And we've got him for an interview here. You're going to get a chance to hear this amazing person talk about some really in-depth things of what's going on in the world of professional speaking and coaching, personal branding, those areas, and many more. So join us for this episode of Stark Raving Entrepreneurs. Welcome to Stark Raving Entrepreneurs, where you discover how to achieve your goals and dreams, getting the freedom you want, all while living voluntarily, peacefully, and with a live and let live lifestyle. You are going to love this interview. This is one we did at our Stark Raving Entrepreneurs regular Wednesday meeting that you can come visit, by the way. We'd love to have you there. It's at 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time every Wednesday, and we have all kinds of guests like Phil coming in that are really giving a lot of good information. Well, Phil got into exactly what to say, his book that is so good, and he talks about what to do. That book, by the way, you ought to get it. Over 1 million people have bought it, and it's just packed full of the right things to say at the right time. And he really got into it. And I started by asking him a question, and I want you to watch his answer. I asked him, what's going on in our world today with speakers, trainers, people who want to self-brand themselves, people who are getting out there and doing a lot of work, a lot of personal service kind of workers. What does he see happening, and how is it different now than it was before? Listen to his astute answer about this and other questions as we get into this interview with the amazing Hall of Fame speaker, Phil M. Jones.
I think the biggest thing is just the realization that the world is going through demonstrable amounts of change. And we think that change happened significantly through the pandemic and everything that came on from there. But now, actually, I'm realizing that change is even greater than what it has been prior to that. Mm-hmm. See, we went through periods of chaos, and through periods of chaos, people wanted to create order. And that's what was being done in a very reactionary fashion, right? This is happening here. How do we fix it? This was happening. Yes. How do we fix it? What we now have is new order, and people are realizing the need to create chaos. And it means that most businesses, most organizations, any large group full of people is saying, hang on, we need to decide what we're doing next. We need to get clarity about where we're going from here. And there is a lot more decision-making that is purposeful towards navigating the change that is self-created in what's next. Where that creates opportunity for those of us that are in the personal brand, speaker, author, trainer, consultant spaces, is my experience has been most of those businesses are realizing they need to figure out what's next, but they've got no idea how to figure out what's next. And they're looking for external input. They're looking to be able to say, well, how do I move things forward from here? In the world of commercial enterprise, we're seeing more people at SVP level and at that sort of decision-making operational business level that have never needed to be able to actually create a plan from a blank sheet of paper. All they've had to be able to do is to manage circumstances that have been presented upon them. So for coaches, trainers, consultants right now, what it means is that we need to create solutions for problems that they haven't yet realized existed, as opposed to think they know what they want. Because my experience is they have no idea what they want to buy from you, but they do have very clear understandings of the problems they're trying to solve. And the need to be able to then have an agile and versatile suite of offerings that meets the market where it's at is never more relevant. And if you think that you can win with waiting for the event, the date, the speech, the title, topic, description, we ain't living in that world right now. We're living in a very, very different world where we have uneducated buyers of the types of products and services we have. So that's what I'm seeing, Terry. I don't know if that answer is a little bit too high level, but hopefully that just gives some insight to what I'm seeing and thinking.
Yeah, I think so. I'd have to agree with you. It's like we don't know what we don't know right now, but we need to learn that. So my follow-up question then would be, okay, what are some good ways to find out what we don't know and to replace that with known with real solutions that the market can afford to buy and would want to embrace us to adjust?
I think the starting point to any position of creation of opportunity is how we should start any conversation that matters. I wrote a book called Exactly What to Say. What's often missing from the book Exactly What to Say is an operational framework that helps us uncover opportunity. And if it's okay with you, I'll just talk this framework right now, because I think it talks
Please,
right
it'd be
into this
great.
situation.
Oh, and tell us the fancy tools that you're using there to make this happen.
This is called an iPad.
Okay.
This is called an Apple Pencil. And
Apple Pencil. Okay.
Yeah. And
how do you spell that? APP.
And what I do is I trick Ecamm into thinking that my iPad is a second camera.
Nice.
Is what I actually do. And then this becomes a blackboard for me. But when it comes to creating opportunity, it's the same as entering into any conversation that matters. Whether it's a conversation with your spouse, your child, a friend you care about, or a prospect, the starting point for every important conversation is one of curiosity. Behind curiosity, we're looking to reach a position of empathy. And then following empathy, we need a big, healthy dose of courage. Now, these are the three ingredients that I think are essential for any complex conversation if we're looking to be able to lead it towards a predetermined outcome. And I want to just really focus in on why we start from a position of curiosity, because you've all heard these three words before. Like, there's nothing new in that, but why those three words and why in that precise order? So take that curiosity piece as a starting point. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where somebody is so sure of themselves, they're so certain that they know best, that the more certain they are in themselves, the more uncertain you are in them? It almost rubs you up the wrong way, right? It creates that like, oh, really now? Type response, creates friction. Ironically, is the more certain you are of your solution, the more uncertain the other person is in your solution. So instead, by starting from a position of curiosity, what you do is you earn one of the most important things. You earn context. Now, you have content that you are looking to be able to sell to people, content that you're looking for people to be able to consume, content that you're looking for people to be able to value. But if you insert content before understanding context, then what happens is you just added noise to already noisy or confusing scenario. Instead, if you start from a position of curiosity, you earn the other person's context. In my world, what I talk about from a selling point of view is that selling is earning the right to make a recommendation. It means that you should never, ever, 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 ever invite anybody to buy anything unless you can say these words first. And the words you should look to say first are the words because of the fact that you said. Because of the fact that you said blank, blank, and blank, then for those reasons, what I'd recommend is blank, blank, and blank. That's an easy framework to understand in this environment. But what do you need to be able to do? You need to be curious for long enough to gain your points of evidence to insert in the because of the fact that you said blank part. The blank part is something you need to earn. So, for example, if you have programs that can help people with productivity, you need to be able to say, hey, because of the fact that you said your 250-person labor force is working from home right now and that you have concerns about whether they're getting enough done in each of those days, for those reasons, I recommend that what we run is a series of programs that helps them get more out of the hours in a day. Well, that makes sense. Hey, because of the fact that you said that you're concerned about the leadership capabilities of your middle management right now, for those reasons, what I'd recommend is that we take your middle management leaders through a series of trainings that helps them show up with more of this, more of this, more of that, more of the other. And they're like, well, that makes sense. We have to start curious to be able to make those recommendations. When you remain curious for long enough, you almost dance towards this position of empathy. And empathy is like a buzzword right now. I don't know if you're hearing it as often as I am, yet still very few people really understand what the word means. And the best definition that I've ever heard of this word comes from a speaker, author friend of mine that you should all know and understand his work. It's a guy by the name of John Acuff. And John Acuff describes empathy as to care about what the people you care about care about. I can't do better than that, so I'll borrow John's definition, right? It's that good. And so often we communicate with what I think is, or we can deliver, or what we have available for you is. Self-loving statements about the brilliance of you, your expertise, and your work. What we're really looking to be able to do when aligning our offers towards the market is to be relatable. There is a button that exists inside the head of every decision maker on the planet. And it's a button that I call the show me that you know me button. The second you trigger the show me that you know me button, it stops being you versus them. And it becomes you and them versus it. It's different, right? So it means that we have to be able to see the world through their lens. So we can say, hey, we can partner together to increase productivity. We can partner together to help your leaders level up their performance. We can partner together to be able to amplify your communication towards your market. We can partner together because it's relatable. How many of you have people in your life that could ask you to do something that was kind of reasonable? That when they ask you to do something, you're like, yeah, sure, no worries. Right? I'm in that example here right now where Gina and Terry asked me to come and do this with you guys. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll show up for that.
And we really appreciate it.
Other people in our lives that could ask us to do the exact same thing. That when they ask you, you got a ton of pushback, a ton of resistance. You're like, me? Really? This weekend? On a Wednesday? Right? All this pushback in the other direction. And what is the difference in those scenarios? Same ask, different person. The equity of the relationship is actually built on this. Trust. I trust Terry. I trust Gina. I trust them to be able to put on a great show. I trust the audience to be able to great people. I trust them to be able to act with integrity. I trust. See, everybody says they want to be a trusted advisor to their clients. They want to be trusted by their customers. They want to be trusted by their marketplace. The keys to get to trust are curiosity plus empathy. That's what earns you trust. Be curious for long enough to understand somebody else's context. Have the empathy to see the world through their eyes so that you're relatable. It's that easy and that hard. See, once you can then position your offerings towards a marketplace, you then need this, courage. And I'm not talking about jump out of an aeroplane courage or go to war courage or climb a mountain courage, a different type of courage. Finish this sentence for me in the chat. If you do not ask, right? We know this one. You will not get, you do not get. The answer is always no. So I'm talking about the courage just to ask in order to be able to drive some action, to drive some change. Your success is in direct correlation to the quantity of quality asks that you make in your life, period. Your success is in direct correlation to the quantity of quality asks that you make. Yet still, we know that to be true, but quite often we don't ask for the things that we want in life. It happens all the time. The trouble is, though, is if you start just asking for the things that you want, what are you? You're pushy, you're obnoxious, you're self-serving. You're working on your own agenda. If you're curious for long enough to understand their context, reach a position of empathy to be truly relatable, and then have the courage to invite somebody to take the next step, you're helpful, you're kind, you're on the same team, you're consultative, you're valuable. So I know that's a long answer to a short question to you there, Terry, but hopefully that is just helpful for some insight into a few things. One is, how do you find ways to be able to position yourself to the market? Get curious enough to be able to understand what's really going on. Learn their context, see the world through their eyes. Do not try to sell them on a solution. If you try to sell somebody your solution, they'll convince you they don't have the problem. You show somebody you understand their problem, they'll trust you with a solution.
Bill, that is golden, tweetable, a lot of that, and it's really good. I'm so glad we're recording this and making sure that we get that out there. And so, but now one thing I want to ask you about, I know that there are people that say, when you say exactly what to say, they're sometimes saying, or exactly what you're going to write down, they're saying, hey, you're just scripting, and I don't use a script. Script doesn't seem to work with me. How do you respond to those people who are asking about that and saying, well, I just don't want to do a script?
Okay, I think it's a fair thing to think about, is that you don't want to work from a script. And give me, like, in the chat, what are all the reasons why you don't like scripts? So let's just get clear on that for a second, right? I wrote a book called Exactly What to Say. I help some of the largest organizations on the planet get refined about their word choices. And let's see, why do we not want scripts? Felicia says, sounds like robots. Beth says, don't want to sound scripted. Scripts don't feel genuine. I will stumble. Feels artificial. Scripts are in the moment with a client. Won't be a real fit. Robotic, not authentic. I've heard all of these things at least twice before. I have. And just in very quick pushback, have any of you ever seen a movie and cried? Sorry to break it to you. It was an actor reading a script. Didn't actually happen. See, it wasn't actually an actor reading a script, was it? It was different to that. It was an actor performing a script. The actor was embodying a character that was not themselves. They had to physically be somebody else to be able to deliver that work. Who do you need to be? You need to be you. Here's what's magic, though, is when the actor was delivering that script, they weren't reading the script. They knew the script. They understood the script. They were probably involved in the crafting of that script, the refinement of that script. Is it true that some of the best movie lines that have happened on the planet happened when somebody went off script? In order to go off script, what do you need to have? Right? You need a script to be able to go off script. Not only that is, if you are not thinking about the thing you need to say, what moment are you living in? The precise moment. If you are thinking about what you need to say, you are editing whilst you are in a conversation. You're off the beat. You're either ahead or behind the music. In what I'm sharing with you right now, do you think I am using a script? Yes. I'm highly unlikely to share anything with you today that I haven't shared with somebody else before. Highly unlikely. It's very probable that many of the sequences of words that I reach for are sequences of words that I've said at least twice. The point is that more conversations are predictable and repeatable than we give credit to. And what do pros do? Pros do reps at the basics. Pros understand that the moments that are predictable, they get ready for. And what it allows us to be able to do is it allows us to be able to be truly authentic to the moment, show up towards the moment, because you know that you have things in your back pocket you can reach for when asked. I did not plan to share this today, but I was ready to. And I think that's the point that I would look to be able to make about scripts is, if you do the work before the work to be able to say that there are many key moments in your world that are worthy to get ready for, that I'm going to refine and craft sequences of words that can be beneficial to me, that can sound like me in that given moment. I can show up with increased levels of confidence. I can show up with increased levels of intentionality. And if I get asked to go in another direction, I'm okay to wander off script. I'm also okay to wander back if I need to too. And it's all about intentionality. You wouldn't want to go to a new performance of Shakespeare where the actors just said, hey, let's figure it out and kind of wing it and tell the rough story of Macbeth, would you? You wouldn't have to say somewhere near true to the original, because the original was well written, well put together, and that's why it's managed to be able to carry for centuries. I think if you have something worth saying, it's worth documenting it correctly and performing it correctly.
That makes all the sense in the world. We appreciate you saying that. And I think that's so professional and so caring, because you care enough to really know what you're going to say and do that. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why your book, Exactly What to Say, is our book of the month. And we're going to be covering that and going over it. And the things that you talk about in that book are incredible. Matter of fact, if I'm not going to let you get away without having, I think you have your book nearby. If you do, would you mind hold that up? Because those of you that are seeing this, seriously, this is a book that can literally change the way you do a lot, not only in business. Yeah, Exactly What to Say. There it is. Exactly What to Say. It's our book of the month for our silver group. We're going through reading it. We're studying it. We're looking at what's there, what it says, and practicing it. And so, Phil, we have to say thank you very much for writing that and making it available.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. And I see Kathy there holding up the Audible. And Kathy, did you know it's the most listened to nonfiction audiobook on Audible, period? The most listened to nonfiction book.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised. And I actually posted on the Facebook post that I actually first will listen to your How to Persuade and Get Paid, because I do contract training and somebody recommended that to me. And that was before I knew you were an NSA. So like, I'm a super fan. So thanks for being here. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I've listened to it a couple of times, and I wrote down all of the statements on a note. And so I have it prepared. So when I'm getting ready to talk to somebody, I can look at the questions and figure out, you know, which statement I want to make or which question I want to ask. It's very helpful.
Brilliant. I love
And
it.
Terry, if it's okay with you, can I jump on Kathy's comment there as to how to
Please,
make more
please do.
use of the book?
Yes.
Because the book is intentionally a tool. It's not really a good book to read. You could pick it up anywhere in it and read a few pages and get something, but there's no narrative or story. It's not something to get lost in. It's a practical application book. And I hear a lot of people say, I read the book and I get it, and then they don't do anything different. It's like, ta-da, I did it. Like if you're doing 75 hard and you want to read a book a day or whatever it is, it's a good book to read in a day because it's a 72-minute read. You can get cover to cover in it pretty darn quick. But understanding the work is challenging. And Beth Granger is here on the call. Beth is one of our certified guides. And Beth recently came through a 2.5-day training to be able to get further 70 certified on the work. And in 2.5 days, when you start thinking you understand and you leave realizing you know nothing, is that kind of certification, is that you reach a new level of competence. But in the application of the book, what we'd invite you to do is to come at it in a couple of different ways. One is think about a single set of words and as obnoxiously as possible, create as many scenarios as possible that you can apply them and live in that for a day, like 24 whole hours, one sequence of words. How many practical applications can I find for that one sequence of words, and gamify it in your own world? Don't just think about high stakes business scenarios. Think about, how do I get more from the grocery store? How do I get more from the kids? How do I get more from my handyman when it comes to mowing the lawn? Like, how do I insert this into as many scenarios as possible in that given day? You work all 23 sequences of words through that lens. What you do is you find muscle memory and application where you're like, oh, that worked there, it didn't work there. You start to be able to get an understanding of how this could show up in your world. Then the second thing to be able to look at by alternative is to slice it the other direction. Decide what are the conversations that are important to you right now. And if you say, well, actually, the 3 conversations that are important to me right now is maybe 1 is new client outreach. 2 is how I show up as a leader to my team. And 3 is every Saturday morning when I'm speaking to my kids. Just pick yourself like 3 very critical conversations, 1 with commercial output, 1 with leadership output, 1 with personal output, and then take every set of words and apply them just through those 3 lenses. Now what we do is we create growth. 1 set of words in as many scenarios as possible, 3 scenarios that you've decided you wanted to get better at, all the words through those 3 scenarios, and you get to try it all on. You get to play with it all in your real world, and you get to be able to find application that teaches you because you fast-track your experience through conversations that matter. So Kathy, I'm just kind of sharing that back with you, that it's less about saying, how do you wash and re-listen and re-listen and re-listen? I'm not asking you to learn a British accent or understand my cadence of speech. More so to be able to say, can you turn these from being my words to just ways that you work day to day, ways that you raise your consciousness towards conversations that matter?
That is brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Really
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And I know that Gina also has a lot of questions. We were talking beforehand what we wanted to do, and we both would love to have you here for about 16 hours, but we won't do that, right? But Gina, I will turn it over to you for some of the questions that you have.
Okay, well, I tell you, I was really eager to get you on board, because when I saw you speak at the winter conference in Orlando, the NSA winter conference, I walked away saying, man, we have to have Phil on board with our Stark Raving Entrepreneurs, because yours was absolutely one of the best presentations there. And there were a lot of really good ones. It was one of the best conferences that I've been to in a long time. So what really impressed me was your philosophy of your book is your business. You've built your entire business around your book. It was really cool in the winter conference. One of the speakers had people stand up. Okay, if you've sold more than 100,000 books, stand up. If you sold more than 500,000 books, stand up. If you've sold more than 1 million books, stand up. And the only 2 people that were left standing were Phil Jones and Randy Gage. So that was very impressive. So how have you built your business around your book? If you could just peel back this business model and tell us a little bit more about that.
I mean, I'll do the best I can in the time that we have. Firstly, I think there's realization that there are two types of books in this world. And one of those types of books is a big idea book. And the other type of book is a proven method book. I think both those books have a place. Now, a big idea book is typically something that you've decided one morning is a big idea and that you're going to package this into the book, and then you're going to launch this out into the marketplace and hope the marketplace agrees with you that this is a big idea. I think there are times and places for those kind of books, but it's quite hard to be strategic about that. What you're doing is your Vegas odds, rolling the dice and hoping the marketplace agrees with your big idea. We can do that. And in my mind, I'd rather do that with somebody else's money than mine. And I would probably rather look for a publisher to be able to agree with me that this is a big idea and front some of the expense towards distribution of that. The second type of book, the proven method book, is something I'm a lot more familiar with. And quite often, this is an example of a body of your work that you've been working for some time. Something that once started as a request from a client, that then became a sprinkling into some speeches or training, that then you got lots of feedback from where people like, I like that. You then hear stories later down the tracks where people are like, I'm still doing that thing that you taught me. I'm still taking action on that thing that worked out for me. And that you're getting all this feedback that you've got a proven method because people have implemented it, actioned it, and it's worked for them. And the whole concept of magic words and introducing precise word choices that talk towards people's subconscious brain is something that I've had in my body of work since 2008, 2009. And it started as a sprinkling into some keynote presentations just to be able to add some fun and some things that people would take away. It then evolved into the fact I'd do a lot of sales training for non-sales people. And I'd start to write sequences of words for takeaways that would help customer service and front desk operators, etc., be more persuasive and influential in the conversations that matter. And then 2011 or so, it became a book called Magic Words. And it was a book that I created from a bet at a mastermind group with some fellow speaker friends of mine back in the UK, where we were talking about how hard it was to publish a book. And I was like, it's not that hard. You could turn a book around in 2 weeks. And then I had to swallow my words and follow through on said promise. And that's where the book Magic Words came from. I took a 2-page PDF and turned it into a simple book over a 2-week period of time. And this was when Kindle had started to amplify its promotion capabilities, and that you could make a book free for a period of time and that you could push it out using the Amazon algorithm. So I launched that book into that platform just for fun. And then I put it on a free promotion, and I woke up the next morning, we had like 80, 90,000 downloads within 24 hours. I was like, whoa. And it got good book reviews. It was really helpful. It was a PDF download on my website for lead capture. It was something I'd speak about for fun for lead capture if I never ever needed sort of 20, 30-minute speech to be able to drive leads towards my core training and consulting business. Magic Words was the thing that we reached for, be a giveaway at training events and at speeches. It would be a way for us to be able to bundle and upsell. Then when I went through my geographic move here to the US in 2017, I thought to myself, to help with exposure towards speaking bureaus and to move from a global speaking business towards a local North American speaking business, because I didn't want to travel so much internationally, is I thought, well, I should write a new book. New book would help in terms of being able to get more exposure. And then in a moment of brilliance, I realized, why on earth would you write a new book when you could just write the book that you knew worked better? So exactly what to say is, in fact, the rewrite of Magic Words. It was me taking the 2-page PDF that became the 17-page pamphlet and saying, I'm going to write this book properly. Instead of calling it Magic Words, I reached back into some other versions of Where Success Had Laid Clues. I'd done a lot of training work around this. And every time we trained the work, I'd called the program exactly what to say. And there's a friend of mine that, in fact, you folks should have in here in this program, a guy called Rory Vaden, another Hall of Fame speaker within NSA.
Good man.
Rory's a wonderful man. And Rory talks about books needing to pass the I want test. Book needs to pass the I want that test. And I very quickly realized that people do want to know exactly what to say. Pretty darn helpful title for a book that helps resonate on some of its success. Not only that, there's another thing that's really helpful when you're titling a book. If it passes the I want test, and then also it's true, but it can't be true, creates friction, right? I want to know exactly what to say. Look at that tiny book. That can't tell me exactly what to say. And then it goes on to tell you exactly what to say. We can create word of mouth phenomenon on that. I want that. It can't be true. How do I find out if it's true? I need to buy it and read it. Oh, darn, it does. I should probably tell somebody. That's how you start to be able to create a movement around a book of that nature. So that's the book we brought to market 2017. And it's very much a proven method book, right? This is not a heavy edit. People ask me, how long did it take me to write this book? The answer is a weekend. How long did it take me to be in a position to write that book? 10, 12 years worth of workshopping material with core clients to be in a situation that I didn't need to think too hard about what needs to be in this book, because it had already been worked out through a quantity of clients over a period of time. But that just gets us to a start line. There is a thinking or sort of operating model that I wrap around books that might be useful for all of you, because you can apply this methodology to books. You can apply it to anything you're looking to be able to launch from an IP point of view. And I filtered it down into really 10 steps. And the first step is to write wide and to edit narrow. What do I mean by that? Is you want, if you got a book, a training course, a program, is you want this to be for as many people as possible. And many people then produce something that's remarkably generic because they want it to be for as many people as possible. Write it as wide as you possibly can, i.e. for as many people as possible, and then edit it through the lens of as many specific groups as possible. So what did I then do is I took the work, I wrote it for everybody, and then I re-edited it and said, how would this help a leader? How would this help a sales team? How would this help a new stay-at-home first-time business owner? How would this help somebody who'd been an experienced sales pro for 20 years? How would this help somebody that, right? And I took every avatar that I thought this could help and I re-edited it through that one lens. And that's how you create something that has universal appeal. Because if it is a Swiss Army knife, it's for nobody. But if it's a pair of scissors, it's a screwdriver, it's tweezers, it's all of those very specific things. Now what you actually did is create something at the front end that is particularly valuable for the masses. Nobody wants generic. People want specific. And if you can find the specific edges for everybody, you're in good shape. The second thing that I think about when it comes to being able to bring books or any major product to market is to craft the user experience. And what I mean by that is think about how you want this content to be consumed. Put the user at the center of the experience. See, I went against the grain creating a short, tiny paperback book because everybody in the world of business said a book needs to be 60,000 words, 80,000 words. It needs to have a thick spine. It needs to come out and it needs to exist in hardcover first because that's the way we do things. What did I do by alternative? I said, let's cut the fluff. My goal is that this can be thrown in somebody's bag. It's going to get dog-eared. I want them to be able to reuse it. Not only that, is my goal is to be able to bring this towards my events as a speaker. And I want to be able to hit a price point with it that allows me to be able to give it away where necessary, that allows me to be able to make significant margin on it where necessary, that it can have some real profit centers to it. I want my client to be able to buy 30 copies for everybody in their team, 300 copies for everybody in their team, 3,000 copies for everybody in their team, where it doesn't feel like a big decision. So I had to make its form follow its function. And I thought about it as something that would have lasting staying power. The third thing when it comes to bringing any product like this to market is to never leave launch mode. Everybody is focused on like this launch window, this launch window, this launch window. And what often happens is it booms where a load of people support your launch and then it flops because there is no staying power. I did 2 podcast interviews earlier today talking about my new book that I wrote in 2017. Catch that again, right? I did 2 podcast interviews today talking about my new book that I wrote in 2017. So never, ever leave launch mode, is that we're always launching to somebody new. What does that mean? It means that you have to be pretty darn committed to the idea. If you're going to run this for the distance, you need to be excited to talk about it 5 years on from now. And if you're not excited to talk about it 5 minutes after you wrote it, probably doesn't belong in a book because you got to keep showing up and staying in launch mode forever and a day. Fourth point is to chase consumers and not purchasers. There's only one thing that sells books. And it's the same thing that sells restaurant meals. It's the same things that sells online courses. It's, I consumed this, thought it was great, you might like it too. That simple. See, I could sell somebody 30 copies of a book that sit in a box under a desk and it hits a dead end. I could find 30 people to read a book, get value from it, and go tell 2, 3, 4 people each. Which one of those two outcomes do you want? See, when you focus on the launch, what happens is you think I need to sell books, sell books, sell books. You do all these bulk campaigns that shift a load of paper that then becomes invisible to the marketplace over time. Your goal is to find people to consume the book that then get a personal first-hand experience on that book that go on to be able to share that with others. The number one thing that shifts books is I read this, you should read it too. And the more that you can catalyze that moment, the more you'll create a never-ending success story. The fifth thing to think about is to market the message over the modality. What do I mean on that? Is too many people are like, buy my book, buy my course, buy my training, buy my program, buy my speech. I don't care about the modality. I care about the message. So I'm passionate about helping people better understand exactly what to say. Now, whether that's in the book or not in the book, whether that is something that lives between these pages or something that lives between these ears, it doesn't matter to me. Is I am passionate about helping people bring more consciousness and awareness towards the critical conversations that show in their life and the influence that they can have within spoken word. That's what I care about. And anytime I show up, I'm championing that. The result of which is people like, how do I learn more? The solution for many is the starting point is buy my book. You will never hear me say you should buy my book. You'll always hear me marketing like crazy the messages that live inside my book that have people wanting more, that mean they want to go buy my book. And it often means that you have to like shoot your big guns first. Give people the golden information that exists inside your programs. Help people understand the greatest thing that they could achieve if they were to hire you. And guess what? They might hire you. If you stick everything behind the modality, too much risk. So, I mean, always be marketing the message. The other thing is, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book gets old pretty darn quick. Caring about the message that lives inside your book or your work can run forever. So you actually can end up with a never-ending stream of content, a never-ending stream of stories, a never-ending stream of passionate information around what lives inside your book. But buy my book soon grows old. What else have I got here? Is sixth point is big to me in how I build all of my businesses, really, is to be the special sauce and not the entree. What do I mean by being the special sauce and not the entree? I mean, if I can be like the elegant bit on the side, I can show up in a variety of different communities. I do not have a podcast on purpose. I got enough pets to feed. So what do I have is I will show up to other people's podcasts, other people's events. I'll serve other people's communities. I'll deliver a variety of different other corporate events. If I can be the top 1% of fun, extra flavor and spice in somebody else's 99% of awesome, I can do that 10,000 times. If I want to own the whole thing, I hit a ceiling pretty darn quick. So what am I always looking to be able to do is I'm not looking to steal the show. And quite often that means things in my world is like, I don't have an online course, because I want to be able to show up inside an environment where somebody does have a membership or an online course or a community. And I want to be no risk to those people. You can hire me personally and spend huge sums of money. You can hire any of our certified guides. You can buy books or spend less than $10 and be able to get access to my content. There's nothing in the middle on purpose, because I don't want to compete with the people that I serve, which are the people that have a big piece of thing in the middle. So it means I can show up to some of the world's biggest coaching organizations and I can deliver to help their coaches win more business and never compete with them, because I'm not trying to be able to steal them in that direction. Always looking to be the hot sauce, not the entree. Make sense? What else do I bring to this? Is seventh point is to tell the never-ending story. So set up the fact that you are committed to this for eternity. Not that there is a finish line on this. I care about exactly what to say. That means that we are forever growing, right? We talk about this little book here in 2017. What else do we have? Well, during the pandemic, I wrote this little book, which is a children's book called The Magic of Words. Guess what? It is teaching the core principles of exactly what to say. I do a lot of work within the real estate industry. This is one of the best-selling books in the real estate industry, period. We've sold over 100,000 copies now of exactly what to say for real estate agents. What else do we do in terms of the never-ending story? Did you know that when you sell 1 million records as a music artist, they give you like a gold disc or a platinum disc? Do you know what happens when you sell 1 million books? Nothing. Nothing happens. You get nada. So what I do is I create a commemorative edition that goes deeper on the work, that has gold foil on it, that has luxury paper on it, that you can derobe it and it gets sexier, and it's now like a journal, and that you can kind of scribble in it, etc. And this is my gift to me, to be able to say we did 1 million copies of the book. But what does it allow me to do is it allows me to tell the never-ending story about the success of the book through creating products on the journey. And I'm very, very happy in everything I do. So every time I blurb a book, then it's Phil M. Jones, author of Exactly What to Say. I've written 11 books. I don't show up and blurb a book saying author of 11 books, serial entrepreneur, yada, yada, yada. I say author of Exactly What to Say, because I'm telling the never-ending story. We just launched a new book with a partner a short while ago. It's a marketing book with a lady called Melanie Diesel. It's called Prove It. And look what the subtitle is. It's exactly how modern marketers win trust. In the back of the book, call to action towards purchasing exactly what to say. I'm very, very happy that my tombstone can read loving husband, proud father, and author of Exactly What to Say. I'm okay if that's all it says. And that's what I mean by telling the never-ending story. Do I get to do a huge variety of very diverse work in all sorts of very interesting avenues? Yes. But to the market, I'm fully committed to being the guy that wrote Exactly What to Say. And I'm okay that that's how most people find me. And I think that hyperspecificity allows you to be able to tell never-ending story. It means that really the last 3 points on this is the point 8 is to go bigger than the book. See, people make the book the finish line. You can make the book the start line. We now have created giant training programs and a workbook edition of the book that is only available to be trained by our certified guides community. At this point in time, I have 24 speaker, trainer, coaches, consultants who I love dearly, that are brilliant professionals, that are great stewards of being able to add my work to their work that breathes new life into it. And they can help facilitate trainings around this workbook, and they can layer onto their expertise. Like in this call here, I mentioned Beth Granger, and Beth, many of you know, Beth is an expert in all things social selling and LinkedIn. Do you think people that are on LinkedIn and are looking to sell in a social platform could benefit from knowing exactly what to say? Heck yeah. So what do? We create moments where 2 + 2 = 5. Beth can stand in front of my work. I can disappear to the back, and this can allow this to be able to run forever because we're thinking bigger than the book, because we're starting to create a movement. We bought exactlywhattosay.com. There is now a website with hundreds of articles that are nothing to do with the book, that are all to do with finding the right words at the right time. We're experts from around the world, plus our certified guides, plus us internally, are providing thought leadership on anything to do with finding the right words and the conversations that matter. Nothing to do with what's in the book, most of it. Just all to do with the fact that we care about critical conversations. And then point 9 is to keep going. Whatever you think you figured out on this is there is no finish line. Keep going. And what other props have I got? I mean, geez, I have a bourbon called Exactly What to Drink. Right? I'm sat here with a coffee mug that says exactly what to drink. And this is not bourbon, unfortunately, at this point in time, but it's how I drink my coffee. We have invested in the creation of a brand with an artist that designed this logo. It says, change your words, change your world. It's purposefully difficult to read. Why? because people say, what does that say? What does that start? Starts a conversation. There is strategic intent around just about everything we do, which kind of brings us to that 10th point, is that it's not a book, it's a business. I am building this as an empire, not as a book. It's the quantity of revenue streams that are attached towards this, the resource that we've gone on to be able to build is, I have a long-term vision here that exactly what to say is as profound into the future as a Dale Carnegie How to Win Friends and Influence People, or a Brian Tracy Eat That Frog, etc. That's what we're shooting for here, and building a business ecosystem around this that gives it sustenance, gives it staying power, and also provides an ecosystem that lots of people can feed from, not just something that is for us. I've already outperformed every expectation that I had for myself with this. It's now, how do we give it away and let other people take it to great new places? And one of the best examples of that now is that we have, a certified guide taking this to the world of parenting. And they're looking to help parents gain more consciousness to how they can re-engage with their teenagers, or to have more thoughtful conversations with school teachers in a way that is more constructive. And I'm like, whoa, I'd have never got it there. Never. And seeing people take it to those places, and we're getting guides take it to the world of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in the politest possible sense, a 40-year-old white guy with a British accent is going to struggle to get it to the areas that it would need to for it to have the greatest of impact in the world of creating more equity and inclusion in environments. And we've now got people that are well equipped with a resume to be able to take the world, to be able to help people inform their conversations in environments that really matter, not just how somebody can sell more stuff. And that's bringing me a lot of joy, where people are doing more with the work than I could have ever done by myself. So that's really a potted history on the book. And I don't know if that's another long answer to a short question, Gina.
Well, that's been fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all that. Yeah, this morning in our pregame, you mentioned that you have over 50 income streams related to, basically, I guess, foundationally related to the book.
Foundationally related to my body of work, yes. Yeah, of which 28, 30 of those are probably in some way now tied to exactly what to say methodology, through licensing, through books, through IP, through the fact that I own all of my IP. So there is no publishing partner involved in this. And it means that we do creative things like custom editions. I secured an order of 10,000 units to Volkswagen. We changed the color of the book to white and blue. The foreword is from the CEO at Volkswagen. I shifted the examples out to the auto industry. I could do that in an afternoon, right? We can do things like that. We have bulk orders for events in ebook format that we can do really holistically. And I have a video book format. We're one of the first groups of people. In fact, we'd like to try and gift this to you if you haven't experienced a video book yet. Partnered with a great new startup called Lit, L-I-T Video Books. I think a beautiful product where they turn a book into almost a documentary stroke advice-based piece. It's that real blending of entertainment and education and thought leadership. And we'll work that out afterwards, Gina, as we'll get to certainly everybody within your silver community we'll get you a copy of the video book to consume, because I think it's a really interesting way that books are being consumed in a modern format.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I love that. That
That's
sounds really good. I would like you to share just a little bit more. I love this, the fact that you have, I'm just going to share right here. I love the fact that you've done the certification, and here we have two Stark Raving Entrepreneurs recently doing their training. So Beth Granger, who is here, Carolyn Strauss, who has been here a number of times. And I know Rob Foray was in the audience earlier, and he is one of your coaches as well. So how long ago did you bring this concept on with the certified trainers? And you said you have about 20 right now?
We have 24 at this moment in time, and we got another induction in January where we have 4 already on there. So we have, in theory, 28, but 24 past the point of induction. And I'll grow that community to 100 and then cap it at 100. So my thinking on that is I want everybody involved in that space to be people I know dearly, people who I respect professionally. And my certification program is very different to most. It's not rigid. So we teach people the work, we give them freedom to be able to carry the work further forward. And it means that I need to trust those individuals to a level that is different to most. It's not, you will say this, you will read this script book, you will deliver it in this format. We have a lot of creativity and freedom to how people can carry that work forward. So I look to professionals that I already respect and admire. Most of our guides, if not all of them, at some point were teaching this in their work, even if it was not formally. And we give them permission. We allow them to be able to get closer towards the work. And then it's been fun for me to create revenue streams for them. So they can now all make money from selling the book at bulk. They can now all become affiliates for the video book. They now all become ambassadors for each other in terms of a referral network of being able to provide opportunities to collaborate with each other. We provide platform for them to be able to promote live events. And it really is a commitment to saying that I love the industry of speaker, trainer, coach, consultant. And I've learned a lot in a journey of what it takes. And I'm one of few people in our profession that has found success at many of the levels. So from, it was just me selling £85 tickets for one-day workshops to put 12 people in a room to then be able to create coaching clients, to building a consultancy business, to then building a books-based business, to then starting to be paid to speak, and now being paid to speak 3,500 times and have a $50,000 speaker fee, and have enjoyed everything from a free fee to a £500 fee to a £1,500 fee to a $2,500 fee to a 5 fee to a 75 to a 10, like every level of everywhere that we could be up to where I'm at right now. Is I've lived at that level for a while, and it's fun now to have a group full of people who are at different levels of their journey that I can pour back into and help them build a business model that's unique to them, as opposed to saying, here's my way, you should be more like me. So the vision with Certified Guides is that we grow the brand of exactly what to say together, and the brand of Phil M. Jones shrinks. And that's the huge intention behind it, is I want to make the book and the work more famous. And me become more invisible to the fact that nobody knows what I look like.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard a magnificent human being, a true world-class professional. A round of applause from Stark Raving Entrepreneurs to you, Phil. We really appreciate that very much. And if someone says, hey, I want to follow up, I want to get to know you, get to know more about what you're doing, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
I mean, I'm pretty much everywhere. And if you can't find me, we probably shouldn't be chatting. So I'm pretty easy to be able to find. But if you want to continue a conversation in a friendly, colloquial way, Instagram is the one platform that I tend to hang out more personally. So feel free to come follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM if there's anything I can do to be able to help there. I'm on LinkedIn too. I just don't show up there so often. So things can hang around and get lost in a plethora of in-mail messages that I'd rather not receive. But yeah, Instagram's my happy place. And if you ever want to chat with us on a more formal basis, come through the website at philmjones.com, fill in the contact form. And if you mention that Gina or Terry or anything in the comment there, if there was something I can do to help, we'll use that as a way to queue jump people towards front of the line if I can carve time out to help you on your journey.
Wow, Phil, brilliant. I'm glad we recorded this. And you that are listening to this, you'll want to go back. Seldom does one exposure to information of this quality help us stay with us for long. But if we repeat it and go back over it, then we've got a much better chance to do that. So, Phil, thank you very much, sir. Just wow. A lot of great information in there from Phil M. Jones. He is one incredible guy. And I got to tell you, he's great on camera. He's also a wonderful, genuine guy off camera. Just when you're talking to him and getting the chance to know him as a human being, the words that he said really are exactly what we want to say in many cases. And what he laid out for us is a blueprint of how to be successful, how to conduct sales, how to conduct life really, really well. And we'd love to have you come visit us at Stark Raving Entrepreneurs. Again, we meet every 4 p.m. Wednesday at 4 p.m. That's U.S. Eastern Time. And we get a chance to go into depth on all kinds of topics that are relevant to entrepreneurs, all with the live and let live value, and mindset. Live and let live. You don't aggress against others. It's a non-aggression principle that we believe in living voluntarily and working with others. And we do that in an entrepreneurial way that is just so beautiful. And getting people like Phil come in, we would love to have you join us to hear more people like that. So come on over. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll look forward to hearing from you. Come over to starkravingevent.com and register, and we'll look forward to seeing you there.